Caleb, looking ahead to this upcoming game, this is kind of a team that is a completely different team at home and on the road. Knowing that, how does that impact your approach to the game?
Yeah, they've done, obviously, like you said, a lot better at home than they have on the road. So really, when you look at the last result, that doesn't play into this next game, because this next game is obviously at home, and they've been pretty good there. So, ultimately, we approach every opponent the same, where we respect them, we look at their key players, we look at the way that they play, and then we decide what does that mean for us, because I think that's key, and usually what that means for us is there's things that we have to be aware of, but we still have to be good at how we're good, and I think that's, as simple as that sounds, that's the most important thing, is that we execute. And last game we got 11 players in the subs across the board with good performances. When you do that, you're going to win games, and that will be our goal again this week. But Wando and Urena are two very good strikers, and you have to be mindful of those two guys because they can hurt you. So similar to Orlando with Laren and Dwyer, we need to make sure that those two guys, Wando and Urena, if they start those two, aren't put in positions where they can score, because they'll punish you. And they have some other very good complementary pieces. They have internationals, Godoy and Seren in the midfielder are very good players, and I think they've been up and down in terms of home and away, but they're a good team, and we have to be hungry like we were last game. We need to come in with a good focus and intensity, and we still have a lot of work to do these last 3 games if we want to be where we want to be and getting in the playoffs in a strong position, not a weak position.
When you look at obviously earlier this season we talked about defensive problems, but if you look at the last few months, really, you guys have been a very good defensive team overall. Do you think that's been getting Larry's in there, or just solidifying the back line, or what do you point to maybe see the shift?
I think it's always a combination of 2 things. Usually it's personnel and continuity, and I think it's also the team. It's the front guys chipping in, and I think also the third thing is the better you keep the ball, the less you defend. So we're keeping the ball better. When you look at the last 9-10 games, analytically, our possession numbers have been much improved, our passing numbers, and that allows us to have the ball, rest on the ball, not defend, dictate the game in the front half, and make the opponent defend. That takes pressure off us. We also have pressed better from the front, which means that the opponent has to get through 10 guys and 120 yards versus, when we don't defend well from the front, then they have to get through 5 guys and go 30, 40 yards. So I think that's a key. And then, of course, the personnel. Larry's is really come into this league in a short amount of time and adjusted and adapted, and he brings that physicality, that athleticism that we know works in this league. When you look at players like Waston and Torres, good teams have that presence, and we thought he'd bring that, and he's brought that, so that's helped. So I think it's a combination of kind of those 3 things.
And last week you had been hopeful that Audie might see some minutes. He obviously wasn't in the 18. Where are you at? Where is he at this point in terms of availability and his progress from that injury?
Yeah, he hasn't progressed like we thought. That's disappointing, obviously, because we had expected him to factor in last game off the bench and be in training, and he just hasn't progressed. He's still having issues with that hamstring, and that means that we need to be careful and smart with how we manage it, because we can't be putting him in and getting him re-injured and having setbacks. So it's looking like it's going to be another couple weeks.
Caleb, so when it's working for San Jose, it works, but in 3 of their last 5 games, all on the road, they lost 4-0. Is this a team that just, if you kind of come at them with pressure, they kind of crumble? I mean, what do you see out of that?
Well, we're not they're not playing on the road this game. So I think that, again, I look at those games. Actually, I didn't look at those games because they don't mean a whole lot to me, because when you see a team that's that up and down, home and away, then clearly there's some tactical and psychological things that they're not getting right on the road. So that's irrelevant to me in this game, because ultimately how they feel at home is different, how their organization is at home, how their mentality at home has been different. And so when I look at the recent results at home, they've been good. They haven't given up goals. In fact, I think the last time at home they got a clean sheet. So that's what we're looking at, and we'll look at tonight as well, because we know they're at home, and that'll give us a little bit of a window into perhaps what they're going to do in our game. Obviously different opponents, but they need to win every game from here on out, so they can't be rotating. They're going to go with what they think is the best lineup and their best way to play tonight, because they can't look past any game at this point.
All the time he missed, how's Richie looked the last 2 times out?
Yeah, good. Obviously, got 90 this game. That was good. I thought he was really sharp. You saw his leadership, his organization, all the things that make him the player that he is for us. It's great to get him plugged in and to get that continuity. We were a little bit concerned about that for good reason, because you're set and you're playing well, and then you get a new piece in, or a good piece, but you lose a little bit of that continuity and that chemistry. So we've worked really hard in training to develop that. We've basically trained the back four together in some way, whether it's a phase of play or functional, or an attack versus defense situation. We've trained the four together basically every single day, and the reason is because we need to develop that chemistry and make up for lost time. But I thought they looked very good, that four together in the game.
Coach, does winning the Cascadia Cup mean anything to you, or is it more about the fans?
No, it means a lot to us. Anytime you can win a cup, it means something. Obviously, they're bigger fish to fry, with the bigger trophies, the trophies that are recognized. But I think the Cascadia Cup this year is in line with what we want to end with. So hopefully we can get a seed, a top 2 seed, and to do that we're going to need to win games here in the last 3.